continuation to my previous lecture, I want to discuss certain more issues related to organic farming. There are a number of conflicts or number of opinions about organic farming in different aspects regarding productivity. Some people say that you produce more in organic or less in organic. Quality is same under both. Whether you take conventional food or organic food, you cannot earn more income in organic farming. There are many conflicts, many conflicting issues in organic farming, and many of them we will discuss today. So let us see what we have covered up to now. So we have seen that there are four pillars of organic farming: organic standards, certification, technology package, and marketing. These are the four important pillars of organic farming, and which has got many offshoots, many syllabus or many contents based upon all these four pillars. So I discussed you major aspects in organic farming. I told you what are the aspects in the last lecture. And there are definitely certain impacts of organic farming, impacts on productivity, food safety, quality, soil and ecosystem, climate and air, ground, surface water, and income and economics. So these are the impacts that we'll try to study or try to learn today. What are different impacts of organic agriculture? And then we learned the definition of organic farming or organic agriculture, and also the difference in organic farming and organic agriculture. So by now we understand that there is no difference in organic farming or organic agriculture. We also learned three systems of farming, three systems of crop production. One is conventional, integrated crop management, and organic farming. Then we have seen the differences in conventional and organic farming, how these conventional farming or chemical farming, modern farming is different from organic farming. So today I made some acronyms for you to make the difference in two kind of farming. You can remember these two words. Two words. One is GAPS and beef. GAPS and beef. So GAPS stands for G for GM crops, A for agricultural inputs, your fertilizer, your pesticides, your machinery, and so on. P for productivity, S for soil health, B for biodiversity, E for environment and economics, another E for economics, and F for food quality. So if you remember GAPS and beef, then you can very easily explain the difference in conventional and organic farming. GM crops, you know that they are not allowed in organic, and they are allowed in organic. They are allowed in conventional system. Similarly, productivity, I will explain today about productivity. So you can remember these points, and based upon these particulars, you can explain the difference in organic and conventional farming. And we have seen that why these problems in conventional farming happened. These problems of pesticides and chemicals happened mainly because of industrial revolution in Europe and green revolution in India. Because of these kind of revolutions, chemicals, variety of chemicals entered into our food chain or entered into our agriculture. And then consequences of conventional farming. What kind of harm conventional farming is doing to our lives, to the soil, to the environment. So we have seen in the last lecture what kind of consequences are there. And these consequences, or why should we go for organic farming? Why there is need to go for organic farming? Again, these two acronyms will work for you. GAPS and beef. If somebody asks me that why India should go for organic farming, then if I remember GAPS and beef, I can explain that why India should go for organic farming. Means certain GM crops have been introduced into our agriculture, which are causing pollution of the soil, which can be dangerous for human health. Similarly, agricultural inputs, pesticides, you can recall pesticides are harmful. Productivity is getting lower. The productivity, particularly with respect to factor productivity, it is declining. Soil health is declining. Biodiversity is declining. Environmental pollution is happening. Farmers are suffering in getting income. And then food quality. Food is not safe. So Based upon all these points, I can say that we should go for organic farming. So it will work in two places. These gaps and beef will work in two places. One is making difference in conventional and organic farming, and other is when somebody asks me why I should go for organic farming. So if I remember these 8 letters, I can easily explain. Then we have seen different variants of organic farming, biodynamic farming, biological agriculture, homa farming, zero budget natural farming, cow farming, number of farmings, number of variants we have seen. And most of the variants are going towards natural kind of farming where we use, where we take minimum use of synthetic chemicals and pesticides. And we discuss history of organic farming in world and India, and then what are the initiatives taken by the government of India, mainly by starting the national program on organic production, and variety of other schemes were launched by the government. And then we have seen definitions by APIDA and IFOM. And you remember CHEF, 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 principle of care, principle of health, principle of ecology, and principle of fairness. And then we have seen status of organic farming in world and India. We have seen that Australia has largest area in organic farming, more than 30 million hectare, and your Switzerland consumes the maximum number of organic product per head per person, and America has the or US has the largest market of organic products, and India has the largest number of farmers. And we'll see what are the impacts of organic farming. Now, today we will learn issues related to food quality and safety, particularly how pesticides are affecting our food and our health, how the productivity changes. Do we get more productivity in organic farming or less productivity? How crop diversification plays an important role in organic farming, in stabilizing production or increasing production, or in controlling insect pests and disease. How these crop rotations or crop diversification is important in organic farming. How this organic farming impacts the biodiversity, soil quality, water quality, or environmental quality. And finally, we will see constraints and conclusion about this lecture. So friends, you see this picture. In this, there are 4 circles. The first circle, the any production system, any organic production system composed of these 4 major steps. Number 1 is you need to produce. Production is there. For production, you need certain standards. I told you what are the standards. And these standards are to be certified. Somebody needs to check, keep a regulation whether standards have been followed by a producer in producing organic products. So these in production standards and certification are important, and also your technology package. So 3 things are covered in your production aspect. Standards, you need to know. Certification, get your product certified. And during this process, you need certain agro or cultural practices. Those are technology package. How much nutrient to be applied, what should be the sources of nutrients, how to control insect pest and disease. All these aspects are covered under production. Then comes your processing. Sometimes farmers sell their product raw, like wheat and rice. Many cereals they sell raw. But sometimes farmers do some primary processing. If they are doing some primary processing, or maybe somebody else will be doing the processing job. So in processing also, whosoever is doing, whether it is farmer or whether it is a trader or businessman or any middleman, but processing needs to be done. Before getting your dal, you need to mill it. You need to go for milling of the raw or whole dal into the eatable dal. So processing is there. So processing also got some standards, and processing processors are also certified, and quality is taken into consideration. The quality testing is possible at this stage. Then comes the packaging. So packaging also got certain standard, that what should be the packaging material, what adulterants can be used in this, what cannot be used. So in standards are there for packaging, for labeling also. So standards are up to this stage, and also certification. Certification of production, certification of processing during processing, certification during packaging and labeling also. Here also you got standards and certification. and after that you are going to sell your product in the market. Even there are certain standards in the market also. For example, expiry date. Expiry date is there in the marketing. Uh,
Sir, why is not coming, sir?
yeah. Thank you. I'm trying. I don't know what's happening. So in marketing also, for example, shelf life, you got wheat flour in the packets. So there must be certain period in which it should be sold. So such kind of things are expiry date and storage conditions are also important. So finally your marketing is done and it reaches the consumer. And consumer also got certain protection. If he has any issue, he can go to FSSAI, something like that. Some legal framework is there where he can ask for testing of the organic products, whether it has pesticides or not. So variety of legal frameworks are there for the consumers also. So this is just a cycle how this organic products reach the consumer from the field. And there are number of conflicts, safety and quality of food. Lot of questions are asked. Sustainability and productivity, whether organic agriculture is sustainable or not. What happens to soil, water or air quality? Hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, I think there is poor internet on my side, poor connectivity. But please, whenever you face any problem, just stop me. Okay. So when I was discussing about the role of Mac Garrison in the history of organic agriculture in India. So he played very important role in nutrition part, human nutrition. So Robert Mac Garrison, he worked on nutrition research lab in Kannur and he studied the relationship between soil fertility, food quality, and human nutrition. And he was the first to report that mineral fertilizers or chemical fertilizer reduce the quality of the product, quality of the food. And also, you understand the role of Albert Howard. He has already said that health of soil will govern the health of plants, and health of plants will govern the health of the humans or animals. Now, just a minute. Now you see a report how important this food nutrition is there. So one thing I want to tell you before I discuss this issue, the quality of the food has got different meaning for different people. The color, the shape, the size, the smell, aroma, many things determine the quality. For example, people in Punjab, they like basmati rice because they think that it got very good aroma and so on. But people from some parts of India, they do not like basmati rice. They like their own rice. So the quality is very subjective. And for example, somebody likes green apple, somebody may like red apple, somebody may like yellow apple, and so on. Somebody will like tomato of medium size, somebody would like tomato of a smaller size, and so on. So, and also color, shape, size, these things determine the quality. But most important aspect of quality is that the nutrition, particularly your proteins, vitamins, minerals, the content of these substances determines the quality. Nutritional quality is more important than any other quality. So what this report is saying that the protein content in Indian food is declining. Not just protein content in Indian food, but also your vitamins, minerals, and other constituents are declining. declining quality. Just a minute. So you can see this is the report from National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, which is part of the Indian Council of Medical Research. They are working on food technological aspects related to food. So what they are doing, every 20 years, every 30 years, they are taking samples of all kinds of foods from India, including cereals, vegetables, pulses, all sorts of food, and they determine the composition of food. So first time they prepared the food composition table in 1937, then 1951, 71, 89, and the recent one was 2017. So from 1989 to 2017, what happened to the food quality or composition of the food in India? So this is official report, this is acceptable report, and in 28 years, you can see there is reduction of nutrients. Like carbohydrate in bajra has declined by 8.5% in 28 years. Whole wheat, the carbohydrate content has declined by 9%. Protein content in lentil has declined by 10%. Suppose it was 25%. Now it has reduced by 2.5%. That means now masoor or lentil has 22.5% protein. So such reports have come up, which are a big question on food quality. See, potato, thiamine, magnesium, and zinc in potato they have declined. So in ripe tomato, thiamine or iron and zinc content has declined by 66 to 73%. Iron content in apple, tomato has declined by 76%, and in apple, iron content has declined by 60%. Tomorrow, if you cut an apple, and if with your knife, and if it does not turn out to be brown, don't blame the knife. Knife is having iron, so knife is good, but it is actually deficiency of iron in the apple. So you can see this. These are the changes in different food items. In most of the cases, the contents are declining. You see the minus sign means they are declining. So now question comes, you would have in mind that why the food quality, the nutritional quality of Indian food is declining. So first thing I want to tell you, if food quality is declining, then you will need to have more food to get the same level of nutrients in your body. Suppose what I was getting by eating 3 chapati, now I will need 4 chapati to get the same carbohydrate. Means I will need more food if my quality of the food is less. Why elephant takes so much of food? Why cow and buffalo take too much of grass? Because the nutritional content is very low in such kind of food material. The person lion eating meat, he will eat just 10 kg meat because it is rich in protein, rich in fat, and so on. So the nutritional quality of the food is also important. So the the food quality is declining because of two reasons. Now your question is that why this food quality is declining. One is that our soils are getting deficient in nutrients. You know, as a student of soil science or agronomy, by now you understand that there is wider deficiency of micronutrients or other nutrients in Indian soils. For example, 43% soils are deficient in zinc, or normally people say 50% soils are deficient in zinc, 18% in boron, 12% in iron, 5% in manganese, and 5% in copper. So I think if there is no iron or if there is no zinc in soil, how come it will reach the plants? Then ultimately it will not, our food will not be rich in these micronutrients. And not only their content, they also influence the content of other nutrients also, because they are involved in the maybe in the synthesis of hormones, in the synthesis of vitamins. These kind of elements are involved, so they will indirectly influence the content of other food constituents. So this is one reason that our soils are getting declining in fertility. Number two, climate change. Climate change is also responsible for declining food quality, declining content of minerals and vitamins in our food. So several studies have been done under controlled conditions where CO2 levels were high, and they found that the micronutrient content declined if you increase the carbon dioxide levels in the environment. So these are the papers you can see. Now, what is the ultimate result? It is reflecting on human health. You can see this is from the news item that out of 10 Indians, 7 Indians have poor muscle. Poor muscle means you understand what is muscle. Muscle are very, very important. They are made of protein and fat, and it is mostly a role of protein is there in the muscles. So our muscles are poor, means our health is poor. This is just one aspect of our health. So it is because of, maybe partially because of the declining food, nutritional quality of the food. I'm not relating it, but you can see the position. Now, it was just nutritional quality, but safety. Are our conventional food safer to eat? So many times our conventional food, whatever we are eating, they may not be safe. And it has been proved that many pesticides or insecticides can cause cancer in human beings and also in animal. So this slide is showing that cancer can be caused by certain food items, conventional food having pesticide. So in one case, you can see the last line, August 2018, Johnson was awarded $250 million in compensation after a jury found his terminal cancer was probably caused by Roundup. Roundup is your glyphosate. So glyphosate caused the cancer. It was accepted by the court and he got some compensation. So these things prove that it is not healthy food if you have pesticide in your food. This is an example of our own India. First thing is that many times pesticides have been banned. So first problem is that in India, many times we are finding use of banned pesticides. The pesticides have been banned because they are danger, they are a big danger for our health. Therefore, they have been banned. So, but how come these banned pesticides are there in the market? How come farmers are using these pesticides in the market? So they are still being found in market. DDT, BSC, I talked. Some farmers are still using it. I don't know where from they are coming, but people are claiming like this. So you see the list of the pesticide in this picture: heptachlor, cypermethrin, your chlor, phenvinos, aldrin, chlordane, all these are banned pesticides, and uh, their residue limits. Certain limits are permitted in the food item. This is known as maximum residue permit limit. Means how much is permitted. So in this case, you see the first case. It is brinjal. The picture is for brinjal, and the maximum residue limit is 0.48 ppm, and it was 860% more. That means heptachlor in brinjal was found out to be 8.6 times more than the permissible limit. Similarly, see the case of rice. In rice, this chlor something, this insecticide was permitted 0.36 ppm was the permitted limit, but it was 1324% more, means 13 times more than the permissible limit. So you can see what I mean to say is that pesticides are continuously coming to our food, and many pesticides are beyond the permissible limit. Their content is much more than what we can tolerate. And thirdly, if we consume these pesticides, then we will suffer. We will suffer. We will have some ailments, some disease, some problems like nervous system related problems, endocrine disruption, liver dysfunction, convulsion, cancer, enzymatic inhibition, kidney. So pesticides are not just causing cancer. They can result in many other diseases, many other ailments in human beings. So I think this is not the new story to you. Now you see, this is the case of Jamna river bed. If you get a chance, passing through the seeing the Jamna river or any river which is passing through a city center or in the city, you will find these kind of situation. They are growing vegetables, fruits, and certain spices in the river beds, and river beds are already polluted. The soil is too much polluted because water was polluted. Water was flowing over this river bed, and which was getting infiltration and percolation into the soil. And now they are irrigating the crops in riverbed by the same water. Groundwater is polluted, surface water is polluted. Both kind of water are being used to grow these vegetables in the river beds. They are already polluted. And now they are washing these vegetables in the same kind of water. It is getting enriched. It is getting enriched by the pesticides, by the heavy metals, n number of chemicals, n number of pesticides are there. So you can imagine that what kind of food we can eat. Now, what will happen if we eat this kind of food? So these pesticides will get accumulated in our blood. They may cause problem. And if I'm a mother and I have given birth to a child, and then he or she will use my milk, mother's milk. And then mother's milk will also be having pesticides. There are many cases where pesticides have been found in the mother's milk and not in permissible limit, much higher than the permissible limit. So in this case, you can see that pesticides were there in the breast milk, and it was 0.12 gram of pesticide in mother's milk, which is 100 times more than the permissible limit. So you can see what will happen to this child. He started with the poison. He is getting the first milk as poison milk. So what will happen to it? Friends, I have seen some cases where young children, just born children, are having cancer. You may not be knowing it, but I have seen many cases where newly born children are having cancer. They have not eaten much food. They have not eaten anything because their body was made from the blood of their mother, and which may have pesticides. So I'm not just making you afraid. These are the facts, friend. Now take the case of basmati. This tricyclazole is a fungicide, so which is used to control the neck blast. In rice, you have got a neck blast disease, which is very serious disease of basmati rice particularly. And farmers in northern India are using this tricyclazole in too much amount. So many times these basmati export are affected by this tricyclazole. And now government has come up with the list of certain pesticides, and they are going to ban, maybe in next 45 days they will ban certain common pesticides like chlorpyrifos and your pendimethalin. They will be banned shortly. Now now see this picture. You can remember India has got now about 718 districts are there in the country. How many? 718 districts are there in India. And now you can see the pollution of toxic material or heavy metals in the India. In India, see the picture on right side, heavy metals at worrying levels. So you see nitrate. Number of affected districts are 386 districts are affected in India. Fluoride, iron, salinity, arsenic, lead, chromium, cadmium. So it is presence of these elements in groundwater beyond the permissible limits. So you can see how much our groundwater is polluted. And you can see spatial distribution also. You can see the name of the district also, which district have more problem of nitrate. Such kind of data is available. So why these kind of problems are happening? Why nitrate levels are increasing? Maybe because of heavy use of nitrogenous fertilizer. Some other reasons maybe. So why fluoride? So we need to look into the reasons why groundwater is getting so much polluted. And this will come back to our body. We will use drinking water. We do not have everywhere this clean water. Tap water is used by people. So I don't want to frighten you more, but see this case, cancer train, everybody knows it. It runs between Batinda and Bikaner. Bikaner is in Rajasthan where they got one cancer hospital. And this problem is more serious in Malwa region of Punjab. Malwa region of Punjab is uh, comprised of districts like Mansa, Sangrur, Batinda, Faridkot, Moga, Muxar, Firozpur, and Sangrur districts. So every day, about 75 to 100 patients are 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 boarding this train. 75 to 100 patients are boarding this train, and this is a free ticket for cancer patients in Punjab. And this is the queue in the hospital. And what are the reasons why this cancer problem is very severe in the Malwa region of Punjab? First thing is that the drinking water is not good because these pesticides and nitrates have reached the groundwater, and they are coming back with the hand pump or with the groundwater if they are using tap water. Also, sometimes they are using the canal water, and canal water is also polluted. So these chemicals are coming back to them. And unsafe handling of chemicals and pesticide. A person who is handling them, who is handling the bottle, sometimes they use the bottle, and in the same bottle, after washing, they can put the milk, they can put some other food items in the same bottle. No proper disposal of the bottle. Or maybe during spraying time, some pesticides can be inhaled, can go into their breath. So that can also cause problem. Regularly, you got 2-3 person who are doing job of labor, particularly the workers who are involved in the pesticide spray. They suffer more. And this nitrate pollution is also there in certain districts of Punjab. And you can see that out of the 15 pesticides are being used in that region, and 7 are causing the cancer. There are many reports linking the pesticide or heavy pesticide use to the cancer. So you can see that we are happy with the state of Punjab, that it is definitely a very forward state, very good state in agriculture. Productivity of everything is high, but at what cost? You see the cost of high productivity. People are speaking high productivity, more pesticide, more insecticide, but you see the cost. Now, the city people, the urban people are getting very motivated these days. They are very, very motivated. And at a school level also, the governments and the people, they are motivating young children at the school level also. And I am motivating you as a young or adolescent to think over this organic food. So now people are growing some kind of, not the whole requirement, but partly certain items, whatever can be grown in home or in kitchen garden. People are coming forward, considering the issue involved uh, in the safety of the food, safety of the conventional food. They are not safe. So this is just picture to change your mood. You can see some people are growing in their kitchen, in their balconies, terraces, and this is a headmaster from Gujarat. He's motivating his students, and he has some land attached with the school. And young children, he's motivating. He's bringing them to the field, teaching them lesson how to grow organic food. And he's serving the organic food in his school to the children. And see some more options. It is very easy to grow food in balcony. Some food, vegetables can be grown in kitchen garden or some places. And see the idea to grow this certain um, coriander can be easily grown in home. You can also try, if your MOHR permit you, you can also try to grow radish at least in a pot, just for shock. Now the government of UP is very serious about organic farming. Last time I told you about Uttarakhand, they are coming forward. Now the government of Pradesh is also considering it, and they are going to develop one organic farming corridor along the Ganga River to arrest the pollution. They are planning to plant mostly the herbs which can be used for medicines, and also some fruit trees. They are targeting certain fruit trees also. And they will give some incentives to the farmers. So it is part of some Ganga scheme, one Ganga, clean Ganga scheme is running. So up to now, we have blamed the conventional food that, okay, they are not safe. First thing is their quality is going down. I have shown you protein content or your iron content in apple is declining. So their nutritional value is declining. This is one. And they are also not safe. So two things are up to now I tried to explain, try to discuss. But now we will see how far these organic products are safe. So they are also not safe. Many times organic products are also not safe. Then again you will say, Sir is saying that conventional food are not safe, organic food are not safe. Then what to eat? So you will decide after the lecture is over. So many times if you mishandle the organic production, not in right way, then it can also be toxic. It can also be dangerous. See the case of lethal cucumber. Lethal cucumber bug spreads to UK. Under Indian production, the human excreta is not allowed in any form. But if it is allowed, then it will carry lot of disease causing bacteria or E. coli, salmonella, number of serious uh, human pathogens can be transferred from human excreta to our food. So therefore it is banned. But similarly, certain compost, city compost, urban compost, or badly produced compost can contain, or compost particularly which is anaerobic, produced anaerobically. These kind of materials can have certain bacteria, which while applying those kind of manures into the soil, these bacteria can be transferred to our food. So this story happened in 2011 in Germany, where about 3,950 people died in Europe. Sorry, people were affected and 53 died, 51 of whom were in Germany. In Germany, many people died and 3,950 people were affected because the salmonella bacteria was found in the cucumber and many people died because of this. So there are many more instances like this where organic products have caused serious health issues in human beings. So also if you use certain botanicals are allowed, certain botanicals or certain inorganic chemicals are also allowed in organic systems. So we need to be careful about their use also. For example, in organic farming can use pesticide that is natural. For example, copper sulfate. Copper sulfate perhaps was the first fungicide in the world. And copper sulfate and pyrethrin can be used in organic system, but they are also not very safe. Many times they are also not very safe. Copper sulfate may cause liver disease in vineyard sprayers in France. There are cases where it has caused some diseases. Pyrethrin is allowed in organic farming, and it is 3.7-fold increase in leukemia among farmers who handle pyrethrins compared to those who had not. So there are conflicting reports. In organic farming also, one need to be very careful. Overuse of anything can be dangerous. Overuse of pyrethrin or even other botanicals can be dangerous. And for example, neem oil is considered as safe pesticide, neem oil. But if you use it too much, it can be harmful to biodiversity also if you use neem oil in excess. So we need to use such kind of materials in very balanced amount. And rotenone is another botanical which is used to control insect pest and disease in organic system. But rotenone kills mitochondria of human cells. So if it is coming back to our food, this rotenone, it can be harmful to our health, this rotenone. And this E. coli in organic farm samples, but only 2% conventional farm. So people report that E. coli is more on organic farms than in conventional farm. So such reports have also come. and higher pathogen prevalence over use of manure pathogens come through fecal contamination. So these are the two important aspects which bother the organic farmer also. One is compost, if it is not properly matured, if it has certain pathogens. So our composting should be tested before we use in the organic system. So input should be inspected. So many times they are also part of the organic standards now. So people go for testing of the organic compost, whatever compost you are using, that should be tested for microbial population, bad microbes, particularly for the bad microbes. Similarly, when we use organic pesticides, we need to be more careful and use them as per recommendation. Now, GM crops are generally not allowed. So we will continue from here. Just we can break for 15 minutes. Okay, so you can have a tea and I will come back at 11:15. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. See you.